Hello. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I couldn't hear you for a second.
I just needed to sing to her and it was all good. Hi.
Hi. How
are you?
I'm really good. Sorry. I'm just putting this. No, not sorry. Thank you for being patient with me as I plug this in.
There you go. See, this is so good.
Okay. Yeah.
Your hair looks so long.
Is it? It's not that long. It's I don't know. It's getting longer, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's short, so maybe that's why.
Oh, good. Well, I'm so excited for this. We are going to get rocking and rolling. I'm sure people will join along the way. But let's have an amazing time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to speak with you and all your peeps.
Yes, it'll be so good. You guys, Jess Camilla Oneal, the beautiful, talented, amazing singer, songwriter, producer, international best-selling author, like the list goes on and on. This woman and her professional credentials are truly astounding, super inspiring, but more so are her credentials of life. And Jess has had an exquisite life. That's what was about to come out. Adventurous life. Definitely inspiring. And we, even though we grew up together, but I would say we have reconnected over the years. And I think I was thinking about this morning. The common theme of our reconnection was really moving through trauma, and sharing that, like vocalizing it, and realizing that both of us were in a situation where we were processing the trauma that we'd been through and really putting forth a very intentional effort to thrive and not just survive. And I know you talk a lot about that with your community and your book. So today's topic is how to thrive and not just survive when moving through trauma. And I know that there's that's not just I'm always going to thrive 100% of the time. We're human and we have emotions and there's ebbs and waves to this. So we're going to dive into this. But Jess, first, will you tell us a little bit more about your story? You guys, for those of you who don't know, which I think almost all of you do, Jess just published her book, She Rides Wild Horses. It's amazing. And if you haven't read it, be sure to grab a copy on Amazon because she, besides being an amazing writer, Jess, you really lead the reader through this kind of divine dance of inspiration and your own story, and then almost this self-help, how can the reader help themselves? It's so good. It's so good. But tell us a little bit about your story for those who haven't read your book. How did trauma affect you?
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh.
This is a big, huge subject.
Yes.
I guess if I were to tell people about myself without reading my book, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm all these things that you've said: an actor, director, producer, cowgirl, now an author. But I think, without having to define all these things, unfortunately, and sometimes unfortunately, trauma has been a main thing in my life, and almost tragedy. So, I've had the sexual abuse and rape and a very severe traumatic life-changing accident, death, fire, all these things. I mean, it's I'm talking about that now and I'm like, oh, woof. No wonder. So just a lot of life kind of shoved into my 38 years of being on this realm. And now, having lived through it all, amazing, right? So amazing to be able to live through some of those things when I should have probably died on several occasions. But the fact that still existing and continuing, I think that's the main thing is like, I could get into it, but read my book because it goes into details if you have time. But I'm now my common theme is finding comfort and peace and joy and thriving instead of just being drugged through life. It's like trying to take all the lessons I've learned, not have to relive them, and not have to take these huge whoppings that life gives us, and actually just move forward with intention and being guided by intuition and trying to move through it all, and then helping and inspire and loving other people through theirs.
That's so amazing. And one of the things that really stands out to me is that you've had this, for lack of a better word, like a chronic trauma, right? Or tragedy. Like you said, it's been this theme that's kind of woven throughout your life. So many experiences you've been through in your relatively short life compared to many people. And I think there's people in our tribe who have lost loved ones, as I know you have too. There's people in our community who have experienced a lot of kind of acute traumatic events where it's like maybe happens one time. But then one of the common themes that all of us, everyone in here has, is this continual chronic illness, which also can be traumatic. I know for me, it was that being chronically ill also caused a lot of trauma. So either way, whether there's a lot of tragedy and a lot of trauma, this chronic illness, it kind of beats you up, right? It has the ability to just push you down, to suck the life out of you, to take the energy out of you. It has the ability to make a person feel hopeless at times or all the time. Yeah. So speak to us a little bit on how do you thrive in those situations? And if you don't thrive, how do you, stay above water? How do you find the hope? How do you find the inspiration? How do you do anything other than settle for this is now my life?
Well, I think today is a good example. Like for me, so one part of my story is I had a severe accident when I was 17, shattered both my legs, was never supposed to walk again, had a bone infection, almost lost my leg to that. And so I live in chronic inflammation, whether I want to eat the healthiest low chronic inflammation diet on the planet. My natural state of being, because of the extent and the extremeness of my injuries, create just a constant state of pain. And even though I've had probably close to 30 surgeries, I've done stem cell, I've done all the things, I do all the things. I'm managing it, and so today it was a little cloudy and there was like a new storm front moving in, and I woke up and I could barely walk. I mean, like, you guys, I could barely walk. And I was just like, damn it, like, and I had to get my son off to this field trip that he had signed up for, and our hot water wasn't working. And, I was getting ready for this, and I have a show tonight, and I got home late last night from a show, and I had immediate fear. If fear is like the number one thing for me, because fear becomes at the base of my overwhelm, at the base of the pain, at base of like, I just have fear, like, oh, I can't accomplish the things I need to do today as a wife, as a mother, as a human being. And I had this random fear, like, winter's coming. This is how I feel all winter. Oh no, just like piles. And I just had to stop the voice in my head, like stop the fear in its tracks. And I had to kind of sift through all those things that I was feeling to get to the root of actually what is wrong. And what it is it's like this, you get to this fear of like, oh, what if I have to go through surgery again? Or what if, I know that this is how I feel sometimes, or it's coming, and just be like, I can't go there. I can only deal with this space that is right now.
Yes.
And I have to, like, I talk about this a lot with just friends, and I know even you, is like, here's this huge whirlwind. Like, we're in the eye of the tornado of life. And sometimes chronic pain and illness is a constant state of being in the eye of the storm, right? And so I had to just, like, put my head down in a sense of almost humbling. I humble myself to myself and be like, there's nothing I can do about why I'm in this situation, except for the fact, except that I'm in it right this moment.
Yeah.
And do everything in this moment to support myself in this moment.
Yes.
So for me, it was like, go and drink a gallon of water. I know that that's gonna like flush out as much toxicity of the inflammation I can right now. Eat a nourishing smoothie. Calmly walk to the car if I need help. Honey, can you please carry me to the car? Or can you help me? Gideon, can you take my hand and help me walk to the car?
Mm-hmm.
Humbling when you got to ask your 7-year-old to help you walk to the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, and just stay present and forgive myself and my body and love it, instead of going to this place of, which I go to, don't get me wrong. I do this sometimes, where you get mad and you get angry, and it's okay to do those things. Do that every now and then when you're feeling it, but do not stay there too long. Do not stay there too long. Get it out, let it out once, and then release it. And so, then I came back and I had to just get in the bathtub, do an Epsom salt bath, and then, elevate my feet so that I could be present for this conversation that we're having right now. And I don't have any, like, I'm still figuring out myself. I wish that I had this amazing handle on it and I could tell everyone all this incredible information about this is what you should do. I don't know what you should do. Here's what works for me. And we all have different life circumstances, right? Like, I'm super lucky that I make my living in short bursts that I can show up to. It would be a whole different ballgame if I had a 9-to-5. And, I have a super supportive husband that, I can count on and lean on. So it all depends on our circumstance. But I think for sure is, don't go it alone. Because there are other people that have an understanding. It may not be a total comprehension and an exactness, but there is an understanding. Like, this community of your people are amazing, right? You guys have each other. You can talk about stuff. Yeah. That's big. And get real.
Yeah.
Get real about it. Don't pretend it. Don't wish it away. Don't like it. Get real. And then get proactive, take action on whatever it is. If the diet thing is the action that you need to take for your health, then my thing is I do everything 150%. I do everything 150% because that's maybe just my personality. So whatever, even my pain, I go with 150%. My healing, I go 150%. And, I was talking with my husband the other day about chronic pain, because he doesn't, he's had, even though my husband's a cowboy, a horse trainer, builds fence for a living, the man is like Superman, has never had like these. He's had some injuries, some shoulder injuries, but his bounce back and his like physical body is like astounding to me, because that is not my reality. I'm just
right.
Like, oh my God, why can't I? Why? But then I have to be like, of course you have to have that, because sometimes you carry us both.
Yeah.
Sometimes not sometimes, a lot of the time you carry us both. But I was talking about chronic pain. And so we all have this, I call it this kind of space in our heads, right? And there's spaces for everything. There's like, okay, myself, there's a little space. And then my job, and maybe my spirituality or my religion, my children, and my daily task, or just life. I feel like when you have chronic anything, that fills the space. And it's almost, it's like a balloon. It just, and when it's big, it's so big, it fills all of that and like compresses all those things. So there is no more space for that.
I call that our bandwidth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good for it.
It's so true. You've brought up so many important points. It's like, okay, we have to take action. What is your action that's going to help you, right? That's so huge. And then there's the mindset piece of going way back to the start of this piece of the conversation, is watching all those thoughts go, the fear of, not being able to be the wife, the mom, the daughter, the whatever, and then pausing them, saying like, time out, right?
Yeah.
And
like, I don't have space for you in here. There actually is not enough space for all of the things in here.
Exactly. And so we have to choose. And this goes back to bandwidth, which Adam Maris, if you guys have not watched Adam Maris, guest presenter from last month, we talked a lot about setting really strong boundaries, right? And it's something I have become almost too masterful at, but I am insanely protective of my time. And I schedule my Epsom salt baths into my day. I schedule walks. I schedule my clean food and my water. I schedule downtime. And if someone says, are you busy, or a client wants to book a time, like those are that's non-negotiable. I'm booked.
Yeah. And I think a good question, because I'm the opposite of you. Like, I'm not an organized person. I'm a creative, it comes in bursts for me.
Yes.
And I struggle with scheduling.
Yeah.
And I almost rebel against my own, So how do you do that when you're when you have maybe that personality type like me? I don't have that kind of strong point. So I have to figure out my strong point, because I would never be good at that, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be good at keeping my own thing, because I rebel against almost I don't know if it's just my FOMO, or is it just my personality, or rebellion, or whatever. I don't know. But I would be like, oh, I have that on schedule. Screw it. Let's go do this. Are you going to tell me what to do?
What if you're telling yourself what to do?
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's so funny, because I would be like, oh, you think you can do? Oh, myself?
This is so good, but it really is two different types of personalities, right? And the question is, I still hear you saying, even with that personality this morning, you got up, you drank your water, you asked for help, you took an Epsom salt bath, or you ate your clean smoothie, you're doing the things, you paused your mind. We have to have downtime to pause our mind if we're expected to be go, go, go. And we are all expected to be go, 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 by the way. It's just whether or not we choose to meet that expectation of others, or if we change our own expectation for ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that's why you're good at your job. Your job is helping people, because as a coach, you can help people recognize in themselves what they're good at or how to do it. Mm-hmm. And most people need that. I wish in my life I've had more. I mean, I love coaches and I've had a lot of people help me, but I'm to a fault. I've been a little bit of a DIYer, and I spent too much time trying to figure out what those things are for me instead of just asking for help. Mm-hmm. Going to someone and be like, hey, here's my things. I need help. How do I do it?
Yeah. Yeah. It is amazing what it's such a compromise. It's such a dance between both our own inner journey and our own exploration and our own self-discovery, and then having the support and sometimes having someone who has a slightly different perspective or who can see from a different angle. So here's the thing that I really want us to come back to, because it was mentioned and moved on. And I feel like for me, this was the game changer entirely in my healing. You said, when the fear comes up and we think about, I'm never going to be the mom, or what I would think about, I'm never going to be the mom I want. Here I am, I'm 35 or 34 years old and my life is over. I'm now going to be bedridden. It's been years. There's no reason why it wouldn't continue being more years. This is my life. I used to be an athlete. Now I'm stuck in bed. I used to be an athlete. I gained all this weight. I used to be like the person that put on events and parties and dinner parties. Like I was that person. And now I can't even make myself my own dinner because I'm too tired.
Yeah.
So everything about who I was that I loved was taken away from me when I was chronically ill for years, right? Mm-hmm. And I think this happens when we're experiencing trauma or tragedy too. The person who we were before very often shifts depending on the experience or the trauma or the tragedy, right? Even if it's a one-time thing and it's not a chronic thing, mm-hmm. we can go into this dark, deep hole. Mm-hmm. We can feel utterly overwhelmed, utterly sad, depressed, like angry, all the things. And that story that really, like you said, is rooted into fear of who am I going to be? What's going to happen? The whys, the whos, the whats, all of those. We can just go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole. And I'm telling you, like for years, every moment of every day for years, like this is not like a one-time thing, go down and think a story. This is like a chronic, even our subconscious thoughts are going this way. So I really think the first step is to have the awareness to see that that's happening, because sometimes we don't even see it, especially if we've been thinking this way for a long time.
Yeah.
And then the trick is to pause. But how do we pause? How do we pause those thoughts? I'd love to hear what you do. I make a conscious choice and I actually talk to my thoughts and I ask them to stop.
Oh yeah, I do that. I'm the total whack job that you see like whispering to themselves in the car and all. That's me. Yoo-hoo. Okay. I think I need to retrace my own steps a little bit. So one of the greatest blessings or takeaways, I think, that come from tragedy, trauma, pain, is the time to pause. Like there are, when your whole world just like
forced,
it slows. There's like in the moment of that's the pause of like, but that's the pause happening to you instead of choosing the pause.
Yes, which we can resist. Like that can be part of the story of our anger, right?
Yeah, which can actually step back and be like, oh, that's the lesson. And for me, even being raped at 13, having my accident at 17, I, at a very young age, learned that whatever the idea of myself that I had no longer exists. So the blessing for me was I don't even know if I learned that consciously, but it's something that now I can look back and I did understand it, that I'm never going to be the same. This person that I had conjured up, the idea of this life that I had conjured up, my body that I had conjured up, the mental state that I had conjured up, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's not tangible like we think it is. And so that really at 17, especially when because my physical body was so changed, so affected, so absolutely opposite of what I had been honed for and schooled for and working for, that I no longer attach any of that now.
Right.
Like I don't put those kind of expectations on myself anymore. I actually just go to gratitude. And sometimes to get there's a kind of a battle with my own head, but I get to the gratitude and just am grateful for the right now and grateful for the lessons learned. And I tell myself that I will never have to learn that again because I know now. So I don't have to go through that, even if it's every day, even like it's today. Like the choices I made today, okay, I don't need to, I've learned this lesson. I'm not going to push myself. I'm not going to like feel bad that I can't work out or that do you know what I'm saying? All the mind chatter, like I'm not going to do that to myself because I've learned that lesson. Now I'm just going to take care of this immediate moment and this thing, that the only thing that I actually have any kind of control over.
And I think this requires a conscious choice. Becoming present, letting go of the thoughts, it really is a conscious choice. So if anyone's listening right now and you guys are like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know how to get there, right? Which I feel like so many people, it's a gap between knowledge and action. We know what to do, but doing it is entirely different.
It's almost intuition.
Mm.
You know, if people can understand your own intuition, and if you don't know what that is, take a look back on your life. And I'm sure that there has been times when you have felt something. And actually the feeling, which is very difficult because in our generation or our culture, we have been taught to stop those, you know, stop those feelings, you know, respect others, do what they say, you know, all these things. So we have been kind of honed and taught to not listen to that. But there is a central feeling inside your body, like even if you're eating something, but I'm sure you can go back and look in your life and be like, that felt good. And I'm not talking about when it's drug induced, alcohol induced, or even like the most pleasurable thing, but a feeling like, for me, it's nature, right? Feels good to me to sit by a creek and listen to it. It feels that feeling of just being, and it feels good. That's your baseline.
Yeah. And
anything that makes you feel out of that, that's a sensory saying, don't go there.
Right.
You know, don't do that. That's the intuition part.
That's up-leveling what we talk about, how your body speaks to you. When you eat something inflammatory, your body might show up with some pain or digestion or bloating or difficulty sleeping, whatever, right? Sometimes that is the body speaking to you more loudly. That's the body yelling at you like, hey, sister, knock it off. Don't eat that.
Yeah.
But what you're sharing with me, in my experience, has been, it's subtle but deep, right? It's not this loud yelling. It's this softening of your body, the ease, the flow. Sometimes I say like my body feels like velvet. I don't know. That sounds so weird, but like it feels so flowing, so velvet, so yummy, light. So it's so much more subtle than most people are listening or used to hearing from their body. So practicing getting quiet with yourself and ask yourself, does this feel good? Does this voice feel good?
Yeah. And in my experience, most people are afraid to get that quiet. It's scary.
Yeah.
Because it might make you rethink everything you ever thought knew, you know, and that could be the reason that you're unable to find the source of what is creating this suffering, or creating the pain, or creating the story that you're telling yourself.
This is essentially alignment, is what I call alignment, right? Like, are you in alignment with yourself, with your highest good? Are your actions and your thoughts in alignment? If you're someone who thrives, your body feels good, you feel that even that subtle comfort or profound comfort being in nature, but the expectation is that you live in a city and work an office job and all these things that take you away. Are you in alignment to live your happiest life? Because you guys, ultimately, when we're in a state of joy, our body can heal so much more quickly. We feel we are living at a vibration that makes living life feel so good. So what brings you joy, right? Being out of chronic physical discomfort, that helps, but it's so much of the mental piece as well.
But you can find joy even in your most chronic space. That sounds hard. That sounds super difficult and hard, you know. And so I'm sure that some people are rolling their eyes right now and getting pissed. okay, I hear you, feel you, and I hear you. I think I had a very interesting experience when I did my stem cells. So I went and did stem cell therapy on both my legs. And I chose not to, for me, use any medications, any kind of numbing thing, because I do really poorly on those, just like my dear friend that I know, Jenny Carr. I mean, to a point where that's where detoxing from those and having those things in my body is worse for me than the actual initial pain, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to find in myself a whole new level of strength, bravery, willingness, and what I noticed is we're so afraid of pain as a culture. We are meant to numb it from day one. Numb it, right?
Physical pain, heart pain, mental pain, all of it.
The pain. Yeah. And then I really looked at myself and I'm like, why is pain so scary? Mostly because everybody's telling you it's scary. Like, oh my God, don't do that. You're going to feel that. Ooh, so scary. And when I remember, even while I was in stem cell doing it, everybody's like, you're crazy. I can't believe you. Why would you just do that? And well, because you don't know me and you don't know what I deal with on a daily basis. And so it's okay for you to have your opinions, but I had to really turn all of those people off, turn them off. And actually it was a little painful because my own mother was really being like, I can't believe you're doing this. You're so dumb. You could just do this. And I had to be like, you're not allowed to come, Mom. I love you, but you're going to stay home on this one. You don't get to come be with me because I need only people that are supporting me in my decision right now.
Yeah.
But in that, I remember it was very specific. I was laying on the table and they take this very large kind of like needle thing. They take the stem cells from your lower back. So, where you have like these C curves on your hip, right? And there's like a hole. They're right at the base of your spine. So they put a needle in there and it's probably, the end of a pencil, not when it's sharpened, like kind of more up towards the curve, not the whole pencil itself. And that's about as wide as it is. And they, it's very invasive. They put a lot of pressure and I got scared super quick. And I was like, oh my, this is a bad choice. And then I just was like, okay, I'm going to catch myself below this initial thing. Like, okay, here's my outer self freaking out and I'm going to just see how much deeper I can go and just catch myself there. And then when I allowed myself to like do that, to just like relax and go under it, I was like, oh, it was more so about me resisting what I was so afraid of.
Yes.
I was creating most of the pain, right? I was so afraid of just the pain, being in pain, even though I was prepared for it. I was mentally prepared. I had been doing major like hypnotherapy and work on myself to go there. That I still had the fear. And as soon as I just like let go of it, I was able to catch myself under it and make it through and do all the self-talk, the self-prep, the self-coaching. And I even had to, like, I set myself up for success. I was like, play this channel, play this music. No one talk to me. You're not allowed to talk to me when I'm doing these certain things, right? Because I'm doing hypnotherapy and I can't be brought out of it. So I prepared everybody in the room around me to support me.
Yeah.
Right. It takes that kind of,
yes,
even with chronic illness or whatever, so you have to brief. It's like the briefing room. You have to brief everyone around you so that they can support you. And if people are in your circle that can't, get them out. They don't belong there. They don't deserve to be there. They're not for you. They're not there to help you heal.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And ultimately, I think you guys, this comes down to just raising our awareness to even know to do these things, right? Raising your awareness. When you said that there was the outer fear as the needle was going into you and that panic started, right? And instead of going with that, you had this awareness of, no, this is the outer forget what you said, like the outer layer. I'm going to sink deeper. I'm going to go within. And what that requires is that we let go of our resistance. We resist so many things in life. And I know this example is more dramatic, right? You're having like a very physical reaction to a procedure, a surgical procedure taking place. But we have constant resistance. I have constant resistance in our life, right? And so when we raise our awareness so that we can see where we're resisting, and just do a little science experiment to say, what does it feel like to lean into that and release? I mean, just saying that feels good.
Like, just watching you say it felt really good.
Right? So I'm wondering, Lisa, I know that you're on here. I'm wondering if you have any experiences, if you feel any resistance. And this doesn't necessarily have to be just with trauma, because I think the advice you're giving right now, Jess, applies to basically any obstacle we encounter in life, right? It's very widespread advice.
Yeah, and I think if we're talking about your community, most of them people are having food and body issues, right? Like in general.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the basis of life. Our bodies, the vehicle, our food, the nurture or the gasoline that fuels it. I mean, those are just the simple basics. So it's two huge things.
Yeah.
Two the hugest things. And I think a good example would be like if someone in the group is feeling like you're challenging them a lot, like with what you're asking of them, I would say to that person, recognize what is pissing you off so much about the challenge.
Yeah.
And voice it and be like, okay, well, and then look to yourself and be like, okay, why am I resisting it so much? And can I let go enough and catch myself on the other side or beneath it to see what I may feel like beyond that challenge or resistance?
I love that. It's so important, right? For that self-reflection. Everything is a mirror to our own life. So if there's something we are feeling uncomfortable with, look inside and see if we can figure out why. How does self-love fall into this? Because it seems to me that we need to honor, respect, appreciate, love ourselves enough to want to go there, to want to let go of the resistance, to want to go deeper. Yeah, I know that for so many women who I speak with, and I think this applies for a lot of people who have chronic health conditions, they've come to a place where there is so much anger, especially towards their bodies or their self. How do we transition out of that? Like, how do we move to a place where we do want to authentically honor and love and respect our bodies?
Okay, so it's a really hard thing to ask of people when this is also going to piss people off. Sorry, not sorry.
Truth bomb.
True. Thank you for being patient with me and for hearing me out. The real basis of that is you actually don't know how to love anything. You don't actually know what love is. The question is, what is love to me? It's so individual, right?
What is love to me?
What is love to me? I did not know this. I'm still figuring it out every day, but I come from a huge family. I'm one of 8 kids. My parents were super busy growing up. So I learned at a very young age to kind of just almost like I was very enabling to both my parents and all my siblings, because we were just taking care of ourselves. And I didn't really pay attention to my own needs and wants because there wasn't space and there wasn't time. And so I didn't even know what that meant. And I'm also, from my family's all in the entertainment industry, super, super hard on the body, very critical, not a lot of self-love in that industry at all. It's actually a lot of self-hatred. You're not good enough. You don't look good enough. Change this, change that. And so I still struggle with it. I still am figuring out what love is to me. And, and I've been in a relationship with my husband for 20 years. We've been together. And I feel like I'm just now figuring out how to love me. Therefore, I can love you. And then really understanding what love is, even though I thought like, oh, I kind of have an idea of what love is.
Wow. That's really powerful and something I've never even thought of. What is love to me?
Yeah. What does it mean to you?
Yeah.
What does love look like? And then once you understand really what it is for you, then you will hopefully start treating yourself that way. And then you will use it in love is an action, right? It's a verb.
Yeah.
It's an action. It's not something that we acquire somewhere else or somebody can necessarily give to you. It's something you have to act upon and cultivate and find and procure and tend to. You have to know what love is to you in order for you to even have it, to give it to yourself and to give to others.
And I think a starting place for that can be in action, right? It is the day-to-day action of, I'm going to take time for myself. I'm going to read this book because I know I love it. I'm going to eat well, drink water, go for a walk, be in nature, do these things that you know you love. That is a starting point. And I always tell people, Lisa says, yes, showing up. I always tell people, having a conversation with yourself, and Jess and I do this all the time. We talk to ourselves all the time. For some people, it sounds like, what? You're just talking to, like, I talk to my body as if it is a different person. Like, I'll wake up and be like, how you doing? What can I get you? I love you. I tell the cells in my body that I love them, that I'm sending the love. I talk to the different parts in my body. Sorry about my phone. And that allows you to begin to cultivate a relationship. That's not the relationship, but allows you to cultivate a relationship so that just as if you would a new friend that came in.
You have to date yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you don't know this person. If you've never known this person, I mean, I feel like this is almost a daily thing for me because my body's changing so much all the time with pain. Some days it's really good. Some days it's, really bad. And so like, I'm dating myself all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, where are we going to go today? And like, what are the things that excite you and what makes you sad? And how can I support you? It's really, that is what it is. And then you'll start to understand the relationship you have with yourself.
And whether you have a chronic health condition, which I know, or chronic symptoms, which everyone listening to this did or does, or you've gone through more acute trauma or tragedy, the way we get out of that is by loving ourselves even more. If you ever listen to TED Talks or different inspiring motivational speakers, so often it's like they have the story of they were in a dark place and they came out of it. And how did they come out of it is almost always evolved around showing up for themselves. There's a teaching that says what we do for ourselves, we do for others. The more we take care of ourselves, the more we love ourselves, just like you said, what we do, or I don't think you said this exactly, but it's paraphrasing, how we do one thing is how we do all things, which is why, if we can't love ourselves, we can't love others the way we want to, right?
And if you abuse anything, like if you abuse yourself, you're going to be abusive in all your relationships. I'm talking if you abuse food, if you, that's how you show up in everything, right?
Yeah.
So you have to take, and what the biggest thing, there's a really great guy on Instagram, it's Tony Robbins' son, actually. If anybody's needs some daily motivation, he's super amazing. I think his name's Jarek. It's a weird name that I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but his name's Jarek Robinson. Every day he, on his Instagram stories, he just puts tons of self-motivation, and all these quizzes and things like, are you doing this for yourself? And, like on Instagram, on the stories, you can actually interact, which is fun. But sometimes I think today he was talking about, what is the greatest lesson of, I forget the exact word, but it's something like value that you've learned your whole life, that throughout your life. What is, if you could only take one with you from here on out, what would it be? And for me, I put honesty, because if honesty gets you clear shot through the bullshit, right? If you can, honesty is also a little painful, in the sense of sometimes it hurts a little, but it's also very healing. It's almost one of the most healing things. Freeing, healing, all these things that we're talking about. And if you can get clear to yourself, and get honest enough and be like, am I doing all the things that I can do? Am I honest about it? So many people are really willing to take the good, hard look.
I think that's so key. So as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave a little time for Q&A in case Lisa has any questions. But how do we thrive through trauma, through chronic trauma, acute trauma, through tragedy? You guys, it really comes down to having the awareness, becoming present, creating a space for you to look within and to begin cultivating a relationship where you get curious about yourself, where you not only ask, what do you want? What brings you joy in life and the things that feel good, but you follow through with that too, right? That's sometimes the tricky piece, is following through. We can resist the following through. Having the awareness to see where is our resistance showing up and to lean into that. I was on the phone with my coach last night and she was like, you're resisting this. You need to, that's where you need to go. That's the work that you need to do, Jenny, right? So really look at where we're resisting in subtle and big areas. Lisa said that's a big aha for me too. Yeah.
And I think allow space.
Yes.
Create space. It's not a direct line. Okay. It's not a pinpoint someplace that you reach. It's a void. Sometimes the void is really full and you have the full tank of gas. And then sometimes your thriving is a little on the, it comes in waves. Understanding that and not getting too freaked out about it.
Well, and for example, Jess woke up this morning in a lot of pain. Like she shared, she couldn't walk very well, barely, had to ask her 7-year-old for help. She knew she needed to drink water. Like, you're taking these action steps, and in your mind, you're having to really stay into the positive as much as you can. It's requiring a conscious effort to stay positive, to find the gratitude, to be in that present space, right? Versus going down the rabbit hole of what if this is forever going to be like this, all the what ifs. Yet, if you're listening from the outside, to me, it feels like you're thriving. Here's this woman who wasn't supposed to walk. Here's this woman who almost lost her leg. Here's this woman who has been through so many trials. And to me, surviving would be staying in bed, not getting up. You're still alive, right? You're still, you can even drink your water, do these things, but instead you're thriving by moving outside of your comfort zone and taking the action required to support your body, your mind. That is thriving, because it is a practice that you're doing now that on the easy days is applied so much more naturally and allows you to experience even more greatness, more vastness, more openness, more freedom.
Yeah, and I think for sure is understanding what success means to you. And I'm not talking on some financial, I'm talking about what your personal success story looks like. And then set yourself up in every way that you can. So like me today was walking to get to the car to take my son. So in order for that little moment to be successful, I had to be like, hey, I need your help. Grab that, get this, go that. And I had to ask for help so that that little moment was successful.
Amazing. I love
like
that.
Set yourself up for success.
Yes.
Don't set yourself up for roadblocks and disaster.
Yeah.
That's
so
set
good.
yourself up for success.
Requires we look ahead a little bit. It's like your business plan, but it's your personal plan, right? And it can be little things like today you had your success strategy. We could have a success strategy for a week, a month, a year, right? But it's really looking at what is it unique for each person. I love that advice so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and then also like you're setting yourself up for success, but some things are going to falter and go wrong, and then take note of that. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, we know, and don't do it again. Yeah. Don't repeat the thing that you've already learned.
Yeah,
like take your lessons and use them. It's like, oh, I don't need to learn this lesson 350 times. Like, why?
Yes.
I'm super smart. I'm very, I attain knowledge. I'm resourceful. Use those, people. You all are those things. You are all those things.
So good. I love this. Thank you so much, Jess. Lisa, I want to unmute you for a moment and see if there are any, or you might have to unmute yourself, if there's any anything coming up, any questions. I know you've typed some ahas. You have an amazing time to have a little one-on-one with Jess. So anything coming up for you?
Yeah. I feel very emotional in these last few moments. I had to walk away. I had a phone call I had to take. But earlier, so I didn't get to hear, and I'll come back and listen. But what you shared recently about the whole, showing up for yourself, supporting yourself, and figuring out what loving yourself really means. Those are some major things that if we would just listen and walk, just ask ourselves those questions. Like you said, allow yourself space. Yeah, we are scared to hear, because it means we're going to have to take some action. And I mean, I'm just like anyone else. I'm lazy, but I don't want to be forced into a situation either. So I can learn from what you've gone through. I can learn from what Jenny's gone through. I can learn from what other people have gone through. And in my own situation, I mean, I struggle with food and weight choices and how it makes my body feel, and food and weight choices, food choices and weight and how it makes my body feel. But yet every day I struggle with the same decision. Am I gonna let food rule me? Yeah. And I fail almost every day. But I still need every day to come back and listen. And I still need every day to love myself and find out what it means for me. And what you said about people. I love them to pieces, but I've told him, I said, you're my worst enemy. When it comes to, he wants to make me feel good, so he buys me food I can't eat, or I shouldn't eat. I will eat it. You know what I mean? But it's like I make those choices and then I regret, and then it's like, well, I'm going to do better tomorrow. I'm 50 years old and I'm tired of doing better tomorrow, but I can almost say I'm going to have the same conversation with myself tomorrow. I don't know what the resistance is. I don't know. So.
Yeah. Jen, can you still hear me? Lisa, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Hi. How are you? You're so wonderful. And thank you for coming on here. And you're just so beautiful, and your presence is so awesome. So thank you for sharing with me. I think for me, I almost look at pain like food for you, I think is the correlation that I'm getting. And when I finally became friends with pain, saying like, because when I finally became friends with pain and saying like, look, we're on this journey together. We're not getting out of this. I'm not getting out of here without you. That's just my reality. And, you know, food, you're not getting out of here, Lisa, without food. Right. Food is one of the main staples in life. We have to have it. And so this may be horrible advice, I don't know, but this is just what I'm feeling to tell you is like, stop looking at food as the enemy. And if you can take food's hand, whatever that means for you, and just know that it's not there to, it's not against you, you know, not this outside thing against you. And maybe just that is the resistance. Maybe just that, seeing that it's this horrible thing out there, that it's, you know, that's how pain is for me. For so many years, I was just like, saw it as something outside of myself and something horrible, and it was taking me down, and I can't. But as soon as I grabbed its hand and said, we're doing this together, so we might as well figure out what we got going on. And once I befriended it and understood that we can live in the same space peacefully, my entire life changed.
Wow.
That's so beautiful. I think it's such great advice, Jess. Food is our friend. Food is not the enemy. Food is what keeps us alive.
Yeah, we need it. We need it to nourish this, and it's our fuel. It is our fuel. And I'm hoping, I'm not trying to be some profound or anything. I'm trying to be seriously compassionate with you, and just, I want you to know that you're super loved by these two people in this conversation. And that's, I really don't have anything else to say with it, but hopefully maybe even take a millimeter of that and try to figure out a way to look at it as a friend to you instead of an enemy.
I appreciate that very much. I mean, and that's something along with what Jenny shared with me way back in the beginning about, my body being my friend, loving my body. And and so I can tie those two things together.
You know what? I'm going to, do you do Instagram at all?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Please follow me on Instagram if you have a chance. And then yesterday I did a post about these two incredible women. There's so much hype right now about body positive and all these things. And a lot of time it comes from, for me, that's so different for me because most people are struggling with weight or just loving themselves, where I'm trying to just like love the fact that my body doesn't walk sometimes, or and it's not, one's not worse or one's not better, they're just two different experiences. But yesterday I posted on there one woman whose name's Amy Purdy. She's amazing. She is a she lost both of her lower legs in some infectious disease actually. And so she's amazing and so beautiful. And this other girl who you could follow also, her name is Amberly Schneider, was in a car wreck, has no lower use of her extremities, and is a professional world champion barrel racer. And they are so amazing to me because in this world of everyone like, oh, looking so hot, they're just have these like loss of limbs and are so beautiful and doing these amazing things and putting out just serious body positive, image. It's just like, no, my whole body doesn't even function normally. And I got to love this thing because it is my vehicle. Same thing. So I got to love this. This is what's getting me. I had to have this realization with my life too, in my own body. Is like, I'm not getting another one. This thing is, I'm hoping that I have a long lasting relationship with this thing, even though we have been through hell together. And when I stop fighting that and I can hold my own body and be like today I got out of the bathtub and I looked in the mirror, I have scars from head to toe from just getting my ass kicked by horses, being in a severe accident. I mean, and instead of like looking like, man, I could really lose some, that stomach kind of pushy, I looked at it and I said, I love you. I love you. Thank you for everything that you have gone through with me and that you're still here. I can't believe it.
Yes.
I cannot believe after all this, we're still here and you're still serving me. And I love you. Thank you.
Wow.
And that hasn't been long for me, Lisa. That's been maybe in the last year for me. And I think maybe even 6 months that I've been able to do that with my body.
Chills. That's so profound. Like, it's so huge. And I love, Lisa, you connecting, like, yes, food is our friend, not our enemy, and our body is our friend, not an enemy. We are not against each other. We are one together, supporting, loving, healing.
But I also want to say, like, don't feel bad about not, for me even, like, our societies does not perpetuate that.
Oh, no.
They do not perpetuate it. It's not something we learn as young women, even. We're pretty much taught from day one that the message is, you're not good enough. You don't look right. You don't do and if you do these things, then you will. No, bullshit. I'm gonna get straight line to the bullshit, you know, because our uniqueness and actually understanding this kind of loops back to what we were talking about earlier. Date yourself, fall in love with yourself. Even if it's every day, take yourself out on a date. It could be just a mental one, like in your bed, like, oh, find the spark, maybe the spark of when you first dated your husband, you know, that kind of like spark that you're like, oh, that was so exciting, such an exciting time. Try to find that excitingness of even learning about your body now and loving it, that initial spark.
With curiosity, right? I think that's, we talked about asking questions so that we can better understand what's going on.
Yeah. And just, and date yourself. Find out what it is that your body likes and what you like and what you don't. Like, it's both sides. It's not just all good.
Right. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for being here. And I wish you just so much success on your journey and know that you're going through it with the best. You know, Jennifer's amazing and girl, you got this. I'm so excited for what's gonna unfold for you, even this afternoon with new knowledge, right?
Yeah. Amen. Thank you.
So good. You guys, I'm so grateful that you are both here. I'm so grateful for everyone who is listening to this in the recording. Jess, I told you this would be downloaded and everyone will be able to find it in the Kajabi bonus section. But please tell us, Jess, how do we find you? Tell us your Instagram account, because I know you mentioned that. Tell us your website, because I know people can join your community that way. How do we stay in your family?
Well, the best way actually is on social media, either my Instagram, which is at Jess Camilla Oneal, and it's spelled JessCamilla Oneal. That's where I put out most of my stuff. And then my website is JessCamillaOneal.com. So it's all pretty easy. And I just kind of put stuff out there as I'm inspired to. I'm not necessarily like super amazing at this thing, like having content all the time, but all the things, you know, I have music that you can find on Amazon and iTunes, CD Baby, Spotify, Pandora. If you like music, and then my music videos and things, all of it should be on a website to get you to somewhere. But if you want to be on my mailing list, where I do put out some videos and things, that's on my website, JessCamillaOneal.com.
Awesome. And I typed those in the chat box. You guys, Jess has the most beautiful music videos. Oh my goodness. As she said, she works off as inspiration. So when you are listening to her sing, watching her in the music videos, when you are reading her book, she rides wild horses, you can get on Amazon, or reading the content or the videos that she puts out on social media, everything is so raw, is so authentic, and really moved by inspiration.
I
so definitely
about my book. Yeah, read my book.
Right. It is really powerful. Okay, you guys. Well, we love you. Thank you so much, Jess. I'm so grateful for your time. And Lisa, so good to see you. Have a beautiful day.
Bye. Thank you, Jess.
Lisa, love you. Connect
Bye,
with me.
Jen.
Okay? I look for you on Instagram. I'll
Yep, I followed you.
Yeah, awesome. I'll follow you right now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.